This is an RNZ podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Your Money with me, Mary Holm. Thanks for taking just a few minutes to listen in while Jessie Mulligan and I talk through some useful ideas about how to make your money work better for you. Just remember though, this is guidance. Final decisions are up to you. Over to Jessie.
And time to check in with Mary Holm, who is in every couple of weeks with financial and money expertise. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Jessie.
Everyone's weighing in on these new government measures in regards to the housing market. What did you make of the announcement?
Look, everyone's talking about it everywhere I go. Look, hard to know, you hear people saying on the one hand this and then you hear other people saying on the other hand that. I mean, clearly it's not good news for landlords. For everybody else, it's a bit harder to, first home buyers, tenants, what's going to, is things going to be good or bad for tenants? And some of those will perhaps become first homeowners. Some of the tenants will, and so it's whenever a government makes more than one policy change at once, it's always quite hard to see how the two are going to rub against one another. And this time there are, half a dozen more changes. And so some might push prices up and some might push them down. And some might push landlords out. One point that I haven't heard other people making is that if people are landlords and they're getting towards retirement or in retirement, I've often said, think about selling your house even before all these changes happen, selling your rented out house, because in retirement you can't spend the money that's tied up in the house, and these days that can be $600,000, 1 point something million dollars that
it's
people
illiquid.
Absolutely illiquid, and so I think that's quite a good idea to do anyway. Get out of the housing market and put that money in various funds, depending on, some of it in higher risk for longer distance away, etc. And spend it and enjoy it. Otherwise you're going to die and your kids are going to inherit your home and the rental property, and you're not going to have been enjoying that money in the meantime. So,
I must admit, I found it quite interesting. A lot of the angles of the stories have been talking to landlords who've said things like, well, I'm going to have to sell one of my houses now to pay for this.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, I think that's kind of the point.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I mean,
sell it to someone who's not going to be a landlord.
Yeah, and if there are fewer investment people turning up at auctions, we're going to have fewer of those sad stories of people who've done. I've bought houses at auction before, and I've also failed to buy houses at auction. And you do quite a lot of work if you're smart before you go and bid.
Yeah.
You might have paid a builder to check it over and things like that, because you're committed once you bought, and you can put all of that time, money, and emotional energy into it, only to have someone come along and bid $100,000 more than your top. But we've heard those stories, and that's really discouraging for people. And so I think if some of the investors aren't along there bidding anymore, and in fact are selling, it does open up the houses for first home buyers.
Okay.
And
Not what you came here to talk about,
No.
though. Last week, you generously offered 5 copies of your book, A Richer You, How to Make the Most of Your Money, to our listeners, and you set people a particular challenge.
Yes, they had to say in 12 words or less why they should win the book, and we got nearly 150 entries. They kept flooding into my inbox over and over, which was really neat. And I found I had an enjoyable 2 or 3 hours it took, to read them through and think about which ones I really liked, and there were way too many that I really liked. It reminded me a little bit of the book, actually, because the book's made up of Q&As from the Weekend Herald column, sort of organised in themes and so on. And the book's stories of real live people and how money interacts with their lives. And this was a bit like that, reading through all these people's little 12-word summaries. So,
and so we're going to go through some of the interesting entries we got. We'll be anonymous with these. And so remember this is 12 words summing up why you wanted Mary's book. Here's one. I won First Division Lotto and still seem to be broke.
Yes.
Do you think that's for real?
Look, who knows? Funnily enough, I was just a minute ago talking to Ian Taylor, who'd just come out from talking to you in the last hour, and we were talking about that because you've been promoting that one. And he said he knew someone who won a heck of a lot of money in Lotto and spent it all on making movies. And it all went. But we were saying, look, he did something wonderful with it. And, they could have, one of the movies could have taken off.
He followed his dream.
He did. So I think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you can look back and say, look, that was a good thing to spend it on. Or you could travel the world, which could be a neat thing to spend it on. If you're just squandering it on stupid stuff and you're looking back and saying, I haven't got anything to show for that, that'd be a bit depressing. In fact, I might have to get back to that person and find out what their story was. But I decided in the end not to make them one of our 5 winners, partly because I was desperately trying to cross people off the list because it was really hard to get it down to 5. And I thought, a lot of other people are going to be saying he's had his chance, or she, I think it was a he, has had his chance. Yeah.
Okay. Here's another one. It's a saying, which I haven't come across before. Money isn't the bus to happiness, but it might drop me halfway.
Yeah, I like that because, we've talked a lot about the relationship between money and happiness and how money doesn't get you happiness, but I think this is a good point that it certainly helps get things going, to use the bus analogy. It gets the wheels turning. Yeah, so that was kind of a neat one.
Now I must admit, often cringe when I get sent poetry because often it's not very good.
Yes.
But I really love this little couplet that you got sent.
Yes.
I need this book to help my daughters avoid financial dangerous waters.
Yes. It was a good one. It was a good little. There were a lot of entries about parents trying to help their children, their adult children or younger, with money, and that's a sort of recurring theme that I see with my books, that quite often it's older parents buying the books for their children. But so that was a particularly good one. These are not the winners, we need to hasten to add. In a little while we'll come to the 5 winners and we will name them. But these are the kind of runners-up we're looking at here.
Here's another poem. The rhyming works, not sure how the rhythm scans, but it says, teenagers earning need to be learning so money won't be a burning.
Yes, yeah. I just like that. I thought it was another good one.
So that was all parents helping children.
Yes, yeah. And just wanted to insert here that parents setting an example is probably the most powerful way of getting kids to get their money sorted right. And if you're not doing it right, at least talk to the kids about why and how you don't do what I'm doing, do what I say, which is not very powerful, of course. But yeah, and then we had children helping their parents as well.
Yeah, this one says, my 2021 goal is help improve mum's financial situation.
Yeah, which I thought was rather nice, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, so it does, in my books, the same thing. We've got generations going both ways, where there are several cases of the younger ones helping their parents or grandparents.
And sometimes the people they're helping are not related at all. Your book's information will enhance advice I give to my insolvency clients, writes one person.
So that was somebody who, when I looked at the email address and went on the website, it's an organisation, government or quasi-government, where people who get into deep financial trouble can sort of get a second chance. And so this person works there. And I thought, that would be... I hope that person buys the book instead. Yeah.
You heard from a financial mentor, not quite sure what that is, but they thought that to read real life stories would be invaluable.
Yes, the financial mentors are the ones you get if you go onto the Money Help website that we've talked about, and they're free, give free advice to someone whose money is messed up. If you've been ending up with payday lenders and people like that, it's a really good idea to go to one of these mentors and get things sorted. Yeah.
And this person writes, 1 income, 2 kids, 4 rescue animals, help.
Yes, I just thought, they've got 4 rescue animals, they've got to be nice people. So they...
Do you ever advise people not to get pets because they can't afford them, Mary?
Of course not, no. I'm having just spent $750 on my cat who got poisoned somehow, and we don't know how, and nearly died, but he's fine again now. But that's the trouble with pets, of course. They can suddenly cost you a lot of money. But
you don't regard it as one of your your
gosh.
roles to tell people not to?
No, it'd be like saying to people, don't have children. I mean, there's a lot more in life than money. There's children and animals, much more important.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Mary Holm. She's going through some of the entries. She received people trying to win her book in 12 words or less. I love this one. 156th in line for one library copy. It's a long wait.
Yes. Yeah.
That must be your book they were in line for, do you think?
Yes, yeah, and I don't know whether the new ones got queues in the library. I know that my last book, Rich Enough, had long queues. I got complaints from people. And I have to say, I did kind of think when I hear this, oh, please go and buy one. I mean, you can get it at a discount on my website. It doesn't cost a lot. And I do think that it is a sort of book that's quite good to have in your shelves because it looks at different periods in people's lives and different financial situations. And so, you might read it all through in one go, or you might only read the bits that are relevant to you and you might come back. There's a section about mortgages. Well, if you're not currently in the market for a mortgage, you might skip that bit, but come back to it a few years later, So I do think, honestly, it's quite a good book to buy rather than borrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mary Holm, she asked for people to enter the competition in 12 words or less. And this person says, Mary, love your work, elucidating, but please, 12 words or fewer.
Yes, not 12 words or less. And I thought, oh gosh, here come the grammar Nazis. I'm actually quite fussy about grammar myself. And I started thinking, it should be 12 words or fewer. But everybody always, because fewer goes with... My mother was an English teacher, and she used to say fewer goes with when you can count the particular things rather than it being a big mass of stuff. But everyone says 12 words or less, and to be honest, I didn't think about it, so sorry to that person. Yeah.
My 10-year-old daughter said to me, Dad, if it's things that you can count money, but you still say more and less money. I didn't really have an answer for that.
So if you're giving, $26 or less or $26 or fewer, she's quite right. You would
But
say
if you said,
less.
can you give me more? Can you give me less money? Or they're paying me less money, even though
yes,
you
wouldn't.
can count
No,
money.
you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
For some, usually you can kind of sense what's right, but it's tricky.
I said,
yes.
go to your room. This is a little rhyme. Make me wealthy, bank account healthy, intelligent selfie, look good on shelfie.
I thought
That's a
this was
bookshelfie, I think they're
yes,
referring to.
yes, and I thought it was stretching the rhyme thing a bit, the shelfie bit, but I thought it was kind of cute. Yeah, yes,
And then there's some alliteration as well.
yes.
Serious solitary saver seeks scholastic stimulus to secure sanguine senior solvency success.
Yeah. Well, is the word to in there that doesn't start with S, but nonetheless that was, and it does actually make sense, that sentence, but it was tricky, but very clever. Yeah.
Do I know what sanguine means? It means
it's
calm in my head, does it?
Yes, it's something to do with blood originally, and I think it's supposed
Optimistic or positive in an apparently bad or difficult situation.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, so I think I also thought it sort of meant calm, but anyway, yeah. Yeah, some good words in there.
Yeah, very good. But it
yes.
didn't win.
No, those were all the runners up, shall we say?
Yeah. Would you like to do the winners? Go on.
All right, I could read out the winners. And when I looked at them after I'd chosen them, I realised they're nearly all men, and I thought, oh gosh, that's not good. But I had a similar competition in the Herald, and most of those winners were women, and I was feeling kind of bad about that. So I thought, oh, this is sort of restoring the balance.
I would say maybe more men listen to the show. I don't know if that's true, though. I actually don't think we've done a gender breakdown of our listeners.
No, it'd be interesting.
300,000 odd of them. Would be interesting
really,
to know.
Yeah, yes. That's a good number, isn't it? Yeah.
Growing every year, Mary.
Is it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. We like that.
Don't mean to bring it up. But
No, but why not? Why not? So the 5 winners, the first one is Stephen Viles, and he said, I advise, there's nothing as cheap as something you simply don't buy. And I really like that because, people are shopping, they're trying to find the cheapest thing, and quite often the smartest move is just not to buy it at all.
There's nothing as cheap as something you simply don't buy.
Yeah.
Because that's free, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. And I just think, because, a lot of people shop to get the short-term happiness buzz out of it, and then in the long run it's wasn't worth buying. So yeah, I thought that was quite a thought-provoking one from Stephen Viles. And then we had Adam Trembath, who said, "Just moved in with my grandfather, would be a great read together." And I just like the picture of that. I imagine that Adam, if he's moving in with his granddad, is a young adult perhaps. And I just like the idea of the young guy and granddad reading the book together. Maybe reading out a chapter to each other.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do with my son sometimes when he was an adult. Just read a chapter each, read it out loud. Anyway, that was just a nice picture, I thought, from Adam.
Yeah.
David Sarich.
I hope you weren't reading out the chapters of your book, Mary.
No. I remember
Sit
doing.
down with Mum. It's your favourite thing. We're going to read from my book.
No, I remember doing Capture in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye. Yeah, with my son when he was about the age of Holden Caulfield. You know,
I like
the character, and it was kind of neat doing it like that. Yeah. Next winner is David Sarich, who said, "Finally, I may be able to manage my financial life as an artist." And that intrigued me, and so I looked him up and I liked his art. It's Sarich, and he's done some pretty wonderful things. I think he lives up north, and I thought if I can help him make a go of his finances to help him. I mean, there's so many creative people in New Zealand who can't make a full-time job of doing their creative work because they're just not earning enough money or they're not handling their money well. You just
This is
pulled up
great.
the pictures.
Yeah, this is. It's got quite quite religious themes.
Some of them, yes.
Yet beautiful colours.
Yeah.
All sorts of different shapes.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll paint something on a diamond. Sometimes you'll paint it on a sort of a curved mirror shape, something on a star. I love that.
Yeah, some of them are really beautiful, I thought.
Good on you, David.
So I thought for doing that much art, if the book can help him keep producing, as not having to also go and wait tables or something like that, that's all to the good for everybody. Yeah. Next, we finally have a woman. The fourth one is Caroline Yardley, and she said, "Cancer kid mum needs something interesting to read during stays in hospital." So it took me a minute to work that out, but presumably she's the mother of a child with cancer, and so she's saying, got long stays in the hospital and it'd be good to read something. And my heart just went out to her. It must be so hard having an unwell child. And so I thought, very happy to send a book her way.
Lovely.
And then the final one was John Van Dyke. I think that's how you say him. He's VANDIJK. And he said, "I sold 0 shares when they were $7.50. Now $130.
Oh, John.
And I thought, so he's obviously one of these people that's getting into the new sort of share trading thing that's happening more and more. And look, if you get into share trading, that's going to happen sometimes. And
I know somebody who did that. They bought 0 shares when they were low, sold them when they'd gone up, saw how high they'd gone, and then have now bought some more.
Yes,
they
well,
couldn't bear to miss out anymore.
Yeah, but who knows what's going. Buying individual shares is fine.
A mug's
if you're doing
game.
that. Well, it's fine if you're doing it for kind of entertainment with a small amount of money. And regarding it as set aside $1,000 and say that's $1,000 worth of entertainment, and when it runs out, stop. And you might turn $1,000 into $10,000. The trouble is that then people start thinking they really know what they're doing, and next minute they've lost it all. So. Now, I wanted to just quickly say here, there was a mortgage expert in one of the newspaper articles I read the other day who said if someone's goals were short-term, then the liquidity of shares might be the right option for them. And I thought, no. Shares are liquid in that they're easy to sell compared with property, but they're not a good short-term investment. They're really not, except with play money. For serious money, you've really got to get in there long-term. It's a really important lesson for people. So can the winners please send me their mailing addresses to me? I can flick an email to them, but if they do it first, that will be cool. because I need their mailing addresses to send the books out to them. Just want to say thanks to everyone, including all the other people who sent entries in, and it was heartwarming. There were some very lovely entries and very kind comments, and so thanks everybody. The book, in its first week on the market's number 5 on the non-fiction bestseller list, but we're hoping it might do better than that. So
Good for you.
Yeah,
Well
yeah,
done.
yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Jessie.
Mary Holm.